All right, good morning. Glad to have everyone with us this morning for our last staff Senate meeting of the term, last Senate meeting of 2022. I will go ahead and start us off with calling the roll. Senator Basham.
Present.
Regent Brinkley.
Present.
I am here. Senator Kanzler. I believe he's with us but has stepped out. Senator Cato.
Present.
Senator Crow. And Senator Foster, in the middle of November, Senator Foster sent me an email and said that unfortunately she had to resign from Staff Senate because she was leaving WKU and actually moving out of state. So wanted to take a moment to thank Senator Foster for serving with us and for serving WKU for all the years that she did work here with us, and wish her the best on her next adventure there. Senator Gilbert.
Present.
Senator Hopwood.
He's working Senate.
A very important job. Senator Inglis.
Present.
Senator Johnson.
Present.
Senator Jones.
Present.
Senator Moran.
Present.
Senator Pritchard.
Present.
Senator Purdy. Senator Robertson.
Present.
Senator Solomon.
Present.
Senator Shagarowski. Senator Thomas.
Present.
Senator Vanderpool.
Present.
Senator Vincent.
Present.
And Senator Waller.
Present.
All right, wonderful. And with that, I would like to move. Yes, I caught you. Yeah. With that, I would like to make a motion to approve the agenda for this meeting by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? All right. Hearing none, we'll consider those to be approved. Likewise, I would like to make a motion to approve the prior monthly meeting minutes as they were distributed prior to this meeting by unanimous consent. Are there any objections to that? Wonderful. We will consider those to be approved by unanimous consent. Next, we will move on to the presentation of our Christopher Ware Staff Star Award. So I'll turn it over to Senator Vincent.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us here this morning. It is my honor to present 3 Christopher Ware Staff Star Awards. We are going to start off with Miss Robin Piles. Robin works in the Office of Research Integrity. Speaking on her behalf via Zoom is Dr. Kudali, Associate Provost for Research and Graduate Education. Dr. Kudali.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so very much for honoring Ms. Robin Piles and giving me an opportunity to speak a few words about Ms. Piles. Ms. Piles currently serves as the Compliance Manager in the Office of Research Integrity, overseeing compliance matters as related to export control, financial conflict of interest, institutional animal use and care, institutional biosafety, and human subjects research, or IRB. Ms. Piles provides accurate and consistent guidance regarding the above matters and serves WKU in an exemplary manner. It is very rare to see an individual at an institution at the helm of multiple compliance units, and this is a testimony to her knowledge, expertise, collegiality. As part of her task, she recruits members, schedules, organizes meetings, and maintains official records for all of these various compliance committees. Ms. Piles keeps the interests of the university first and foremost to mitigate any potential compliance issues. As an example, in her efforts to improve effective communications, she redesigned the Office of Research Integrity Compliance webpage and added vignettes or short video snippets to help new faculty and students understand the complexities and nuances of research compliance. Such efforts provide WKU stakeholders with accurate, timely, and advanced knowledge of the latest regulations, thus allowing them to stay up to date. During the COVID pandemic, Ms. Piles ensured that appropriate protocols were communicated to stakeholders so that there were minimal disruptions. Such efforts to compliance operations are very much commended. As part of this effort, she spent countless hours in training the new compliance associate. In summary, Ms. Piles provides faculty, staff, and students with compliance training programs that meet the requirements of pertinent regulations. Ms. Piles has provided consistent, timely assistance and high-quality service to WKU for over 6 years, and this has served WKU very well and protected from any non-compliance matters. Ms. Piles exemplifies the spirit of WKU and thus is richly deserving of the Christopher Ware Staff Award. Thank you so very much for giving that and recognizing Ms. Piles.
Our next Christopher Ware Staff Star Award goes to Cassidy Connor, who received Housing and Residence Fund. I'm going to read what the nominator said, and then I'm going to invite Blair to speak on her behalf. Cassidy has recently transitioned to the LLP Program Director. She has handled the transition with grace. She maintains an open mind and has taken time to learn. She is incredibly administratively strong and balances communicated with several parties well. Cassidy brought a new spirit to the position and has already found a way to improve it.
Right, good morning, everyone. Happy almost end of the semester. Okay, so Cassidy Counter joined our team in Housing and Residence Life back in the fall of 2019, which seems like a very long time ago. A whole lifetime has occurred since she joined our staff in 2019. She recently transitioned, as her nominator mentioned, to a new role in our department, serving in our central office as the Living Learning Communities Program Director. So we're very excited to have her serving in that role this academic year. So she has transitioned into this new role with very little guidance and direction. We've had a lot of change occur in our department over the last year, and so she has transitioned into this role, as the nominator mentioned, with grace, poise, and professionalism. Very grateful for that. Cassidy certainly is a self-starter. Okay, sorry. It's Wednesday, honestly, I understand completely. She's a self-starter with combustible energy. It's too much, it's too much, okay. Smart, resourceful, she asks excellent questions and approaches every day with energy and enthusiasm for the work that she does and for the students that she serves. Her consistency has brought a sense of stability and calm in a tumultuous time in our department. She has served as an anchor for me and for those that work alongside her. Actually, I like to look at Starbucks. So a lodestar, I don't know if you've ever heard of a lodestar, but a lodestar is a star that leads or guides when it serves as an inspiration, model, or guide. And I can think of no better words to describe Cassidy than those. So we're forever grateful for her hard work, integrity, and commitment to our department. And she certainly serves as a testament to the fact that stars shine bright even when no one is looking. Thank you, Cassidy.
Our final Christopher Ware Staff Star Award goes to Clinton Lewis. Clinton works in the Office of Communications and Marketing as a university photographer and communications officer. I'm sure many of us have a picture taken by Clinton and seen him at various events. I'm going to read what his nominator had to say. Clinton Lewis is an outstanding member of the WKU community. Clinton continually goes above and beyond to help those around him and does so with a positive attitude. Clinton is innovative and adaptable, always looking for ways to improve. He is someone you can count on and has a keen eye. Also speaking on behalf of Clinton is Andrea Hills, Assistant Vice President for Strategic Communications and Media Relations.
Thank you so much. First, Clinton, I'm thrilled that you were nominated for this award. You were very deserving of such. Second, I think that most everyone in this room, if not all, have worked with Clinton at some point during his career on the Hill. Has anyone not worked with him? Okay, good. So for all of those who have worked with Clinton or seen him working the crowd during his work, I think you will agree with me on three things. First, he is consistent. He is always there. He always shows up, regardless of the event or where it is or the time of day, if it's 5 a.m. or midnight or later, or how loud it is with Shaq. He is there. And so we appreciate you for your consistency. Second, he cares. He cares about his work and he cares about this institution. And that shows through his art and through the work that he does and the images that he captures. He truly understands that what he is doing here at WKU tells the story of our university in so many ways and speaks beyond what we can put into a narrative. And so we appreciate that. And then 3, he is creative, which is not something that is natural to me. For example, this week it has rained, it is dark, it is kind of gloomy. Clinton posts a picture of the Commons Monday evening. So what he sees is the rain, the reflection of the sidewalk and the glass wall, and tells a narrative, tells a story that can't be put into words. And I would have never have looked at that way. I'm thinking it's dark, I'm gonna go home and put on my pajamas or whatever. And I see this picture of the Commons, and that's Clinton. That's the work that he does. Another example is when we were planning the Monday Hall dedication. He says, "Hey, I have something that you may want to see," and he shows me the portrait that he took of Miss Margaret Monday years ago. And that portrait is now in bronze, in the bronze statue, it's bronze plaque inside Monday Hall. So his work will live forever on this hill and at our university. So I hope you agree with me on those 3 things. Clinton, we appreciate all that you do for our division, for our university, and again, congratulations on this much deserved award.
I have one request here, if everyone doesn't mind to play along. So, as we know, Clinton has probably taken a picture of you, so let's turn the tables for once. And let's make sure we capture this moment from every angle and tag Clinton. You're gonna take a picture of yourself. Of course, like, it would be right. You didn't take one, two.
Actually, that is what
So congratulations. Thank you. And best of luck next week. Friday. One more round of applause for all of our staff. Next, we will move on to officer, committee, and staff regent reports. Beginning with our staff regent Brinkley.
Good morning, everybody. We've got a quarterly meeting tomorrow. Evening time, it's usually on Friday, but then this month commencement is on Friday, so we're going to move the quarterly meeting to tomorrow afternoon. We have a lunch with the honorary degree candidate right before the meeting, so we go from that lunch meeting, and then there's a dinner that evening at the president's house. That's something we've done every year. I wasn't present last year, but then commencement didn't happen, so I'm kind of glad I wasn't there. Because that was a difficult, that was difficult. It's been difficult since then. On the agenda, I want to point out a few things. And by the way, Regent Thomas and I did attend Dr. Kudali's grant awards ceremony for those who propose awards and receive awards and receive different amounts. That's to me, it's an important ceremony every year. So we're glad to have representation there. The majority of the action items on the board meeting tomorrow are finance and budget items. The thing that I'm going to mention is that 5 of the 8 of these action items were not presented to the Finance and Budget Committee. To me, that's a little odd. I understand there's timing, but I also know the Finance and Budget Committee meeting date was set a year ago. So I feel like we might need to look at our priorities a little. And I say that at some level of risk, but of those items, we have some questions outstanding on really the health services contract. And some of those are language related. There's some, I don't mind saying this, I've asked this question. There's some inconsistency in the lease language that I think needs to be changed before we can, before I can vote in favor of. That is hopefully being addressed. And just so you all know, I do have a meeting with Regent Spiller this afternoon with Susan Howarth at 2:00. So if you all have any questions you'd like me to pose related to the Regent's meeting, feel free to email them to me before 2:00 or text me or whatever. Tell me after. Of those finance and budget items, now, and I just want to point out that the Academic Affairs Committee only has one item. It's presented. It's emeritus appointments. That's a common thing for this time of year and the end of the school year. Nothing unusual there. Of the Finance and Budget Committee, though, we have new auditors on campus. It's a very highly respected firm. And the work that they've done so far is extremely thorough. I'm happy to see it. I know this must be, our department gets audited every year because of the virtue of how we exist. And I know that Emily has been extremely busy with a ton of questions, but that's good because that means it's thorough work. And the report that we see on the lease agreements, which my area is included in, has been very thorough work. So I'm very happy to see the state group of auditors, what I've seen out of them so far. Standard personnel actions, most of those are backdated. So there's not really anything related to 2% in this meeting. There is a budget versus actual report that we'll probably discuss with Susan today at 2:00 and see if there's anything unsure about that. The final approval of a Truist Bank line of credit, and this is something that's come up in terms of questions for a couple of years now. There's a $10 million revolving line of credit that the university has applied for. We have to re-up for that annually, but I have been assured, and I have seen now for 3 years, that has not been used. It's an emergency $10 million. It's not, in the justification they give on that is, and they try to tie it down to personal life, and I understand the logic is the good time to get credit is when you don't need it. So when they saw this window open for this revolving line, they took it. It doesn't cost us anything. We don't use it. And so far we haven't. Health services contract I mentioned before, that is separate from the lease. Those are two separate action items that we do and have addressed some questions related to the lease. If anybody has any questions about the health services contract, I'm doing my best to get everything answered. I'm hopeful to get the rest of those answered today too. And then there is a rooftop lease for Singular Wireless that is really tied to a facility. That's not a brand new thing, but it's already in place. And that's fairly common, just so you all know, that wireless companies will have, if you have a desirable piece of property, for instance, we have one in Elizabethtown that is a broadcast tower, and for years we had a cellular company lease on that, so it's not an uncommon thing. And that's, from my interpretation, fairly good rate. I have been told, I have not been given a name, that we have hired an internal auditor. That will be revealed to us tomorrow, and that person will be introduced. I'm very happy to hear that. I think that's at least a step in the right direction in terms of internal audit. There are no action items on the student side. Ethan Logan will be giving apparently a presentation on Dynamic Leadership Institute. That's on the agenda. There are two executive action items. Now, executive committee votes on things like personnel contracts for coaches and real estate transactions that are kind of separate. The executive committee just is an information piece. It's made up of all the chairs of the other committees and the chair. Now, just for clarification, by statute, the staff, student, and faculty regent are not eligible to serve as committee chairs. That's a KRS statute limitation. We're fine with that. The only officer position that we can occupy is secretary. And I have served in that role. Jan West, who is an employment lawyer out of Louisville, is in that role currently, and she's done a great job. The president has two information items related to him. The AASCU award, he's doing that presentation, and then our chair, Philip Vale, will present an interpretation of his evaluation after that. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I've included in the minutes the upcoming committee schedule and quarterly schedule. The next committee meeting we have is January 20th of 2023. And that's all I've got. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer. Always, not just in the meeting. Feel free to reach out. And I do have a couple of questions that you all have sent that I have not been able to answer. Hopefully today at 2 o'clock I'll have those.
All right, thank you very much. Next up, communications, Senator Vincent.
The only update we have is don't forget that the book scholarship is still available for the spring, and the ending date is January 1st. So if you want to apply for the book scholarship, go ahead and get those applications in.
Very much. Treasurer, Senator Purdy.
The E&G index, the starting and ending balance is $1,462.40. The WKU Foundation account began with $1,480.64, with $279.23 in additions, for an ending balance of $1,759.87. In the College Heights Foundation account, the starting balance is $1,648.97, with disbursements of $123.93, with an ending balance of $1,525.04.
Thank you. Technology, Senator Gilbert.
No.
Secretary, Senator Johnson.
No report.
Vice Chair, Basham.
Good morning. Hope everybody enjoyed taking photos. Please don't take photos of me, even though it's a camera. I get that. So the workforce committee met, I think it was 2 weeks ago now. I don't have my calendar in front of me. We had a good conversation. We set up scheduled other meetings. The senators in that committee are going to submit some topics for future meetings with HR that will tie in to a committee meeting, and then we'll work to set up with a later meeting with the full Senate in coordination with the chair. The DEC had a pair of meetings that were canceled because we had ad hoc committee business that wasn't ready to present. We did have a meeting yesterday that I'll let the chair speak on. That concludes my report.
All right, for my chair report, I have a couple of things. One, I did reach out to our new Title IX coordinator, Ina Demir, and chatted with her about coming to be a guest speaker for us at an upcoming meeting. With her schedule, the available date that worked the best for her is going to be February 1st. So she'll be joining us at our February 1st meeting. And so we will send out questions at her request. She's hopeful that we could send out some questions just so that she can field those and respond to any questions or concerns people have about the Title IX role or would like her to touch on when she comes to meet with us. So we look forward to having her with us. She's been on our list of people that we would like to come and speak to Senate. So glad we were able to organize that. We also have a request to assist on the search committee for an HR manager role. Andrea sent that to me here yesterday afternoon, and so we will meet a staff Senate executive committee next week and discuss that, and we'll be reaching out to a staff Senate member to hopefully serve and represent us on that committee. Next, at our last meeting, I'll talk about our BEC meeting that we hosted yesterday. At our last meeting, as you know, we reported on the outcome of a proposal that was put forth related to a one-time payment to help alleviate some of the pressure of inflation that WKU faculty and staff have experienced this year. And that outcome was not exactly what we had hoped. We came back with another recommendation at the meeting yesterday. We put forth a proposal, and this was based off of the feedback that we received during that staff Senate meeting last week and from others on the committee, to try to find a way forward, so that we could still, even if it was a more narrow approach or a smaller group of faculty and staff that we could affect with a one-time payment, we hoped that we could still find some daylight and find some room on that effort. So yesterday we put forth a proposal that the Budget Executive Committee recommend a one-time payment in the amount of $750 to be paid to full-time WKU employees hired on or before January 1st of 2022 in any position at WKU that is an E&G state-funded permanent line and earns a salary less than or equal to the median salary for full-time faculty and staff at WKU, which is $54,000 a year. That proposal, after some very good, meaningful discussion with other members of the BEC, was amended. And so that amendment was to make the payment a different amount, and it was also to make sure that we were more inclusive of some faculty members as well, and we were able to include more faculty and staff generally with the revision. And so the next proposal, the amended proposal reads: the Budget Executive Committee recommends a one-time payment in the form of two payments of $500 for $1,000 total to be paid to full-time WKU employees hired on or before January 1st, 2022 in any position at WKU that is an E&G state-funded permanent line and earns a salary less than or equal to $65,362 a year, which is the median salary for full-time faculty. On a vote that with 21 members present, I'm happy to say that that was put forth and approved as a proposal out of the Budget Executive Committee. The vote was 13-8. So I will say on that note to everybody that is on the call, don't spend that yet. Does have to make it through the next round.
If it gets to the regions, I anticipate that it will pass.
So that recommendation has been put forward. It will make it to the president, EVP Howarth, and Provost Fisher. And so that recommendation does need to make it through that next step, and then make it onto the Board of Regents agenda. So again, just know that this proposal has been put forth. It was approved by the Budget Executive Committee by vote yesterday. And so we do hope that, again, apologies on your timing comments, but given the nature of what we were able to do, and trying to find a way forward there, we do hope that that payment can be made as quickly as possible to faculty and staff, if approved, given the time of year. So,
Can I just briefly say, of
course,
not to say anything bad. I really appreciate the diligence that our colleagues on BEC have. I can't say enough about how difficult this was for them. It was a trial and error that began really in May of this year, and it's difficult. It's difficult to continuously have to. I'm very proud of the hard work they did. It's something that I think we should not. What our colleagues here, and there are three of us, right? Three of you all on the BEC have done is a really bold, aggressive step. And I do think that based on the vote of 13-8 is what you told me. That means at least a dean had to vote in favor based on the number of people on that committee. So swinging dean is a big deal. So I'm very proud of them. I anticipate this will be up in 2 o'clock with Susan, hopefully. And I'm sure that I'll be contacted by Shane within minutes because he's probably watching this meeting right now. And we'll start our process and see. I don't know, you all, if it'll make it on the agenda for approval for tomorrow. But I want to stress to you all that that's not an uncommon thing. Remember, we're voting on raises tomorrow that started in July. So this is a final approval thing when it gets to the board. But I want to stress to you, it has to get to the board. This is the BEC committee recommendation. I'm sure Susan will meet with the president very soon. And hopefully we'll have some good news. So thank you all. I know this has been difficult. This is why shared governance matters. And what they've been working on, what you all have been working on diligently is really worth noting. So I'm really happy about that. Good job.
And so I do hope to, the meaning of this, again, with the vote, it was almost 2/3. The way that vote calculates out, about 62% of those on the BEC that voted to approve. And so I do want to encourage, we hear sometimes in that staff senate survey in the spring, that one was more difficult to read this year because we've been through it a little bit over the last several years. We've had a reduction in force. We've experienced COVID, of course, and everyone else did as well. We have had a voluntary separation program. And so those that were still here employed at WKU had to work a little extra to make sure that the ball wasn't dropped. And then on top of that, we have almost a year ago, a tornado that hit as well. And so we've had a few difficult years, but I do hope that people take this recommendation. I know there were concerns at the last meeting expressed to a degree about the level of concern that some that might serve on BEC might have for just kind of the general faculty and staff member. And that's certainly not anything that I ever want to see come into question. I really think that WKU is made what it is by the people that are here, and that's all faculty and staff. We talk a lot about the spirit of WKU when we're recruiting students, that this place feels different, that it's a different type of community. So I do hope that when people look at this vote and that something like this was passed through, it's not just about the money. It is also an expression from BEC, recognizing people where they are, what we've been through this year, and experiencing inflation, and trying to, even though we couldn't make an adjustment that's permanent, it is still an adjustment. It's a recognition and trying to help the faculty and staff and their families. And so I really hope that people take that home. Sometimes there's that question out there about how much this place may care about you. And so I hope that helps to answer that question. So with that good news, and again, I'll emphasize as Regent Berkeley did, don't spend that yet. It does have to make it through. And the timing of those payments will still be determined, as that was not put in the proposal by intent, to allow our friends in HR an appropriate amount of time to employ an effort like that. We did not want to drop a bomb on them. So we wanted to be respectful of their work as well. So we will watch that very closely and hope that does make it all the way through the approval stages. So next, one of the other things we spoke in staff senate executive committee after our November meeting about trying to do something as a staff senate to get people together and do something around the holidays, just to get together outside of this setting and enjoy a little bit of social time together. So one of those things that we discussed was going to Board and Brush in Bowling Green and making a couple of ornaments. It's something that I'll be able to host for us. But one thing I did want to get out of the crowd today is we're a little tight on schedule there this time of year. And so even by a simple show of hands, this would be something that would likely be about 6 o'clock in the evening, if that would be appropriate and okay to give people with families time to get kids from school and things like that. But would love to have senators come. And so the two options are really next week. One is on a Tuesday evening and one is on a Wednesday. And so I wanted to get a quick vote, and then I will get all details out to senators. But wanted to get a quick show of hands. This isn't official new business, so I'd like to do it in this stage. If Tuesday at 6 o'clock would work better, or Wednesday at 6 o'clock. So very quickly, with a show of hands, if people would think they would be able to make it at Tuesday at 6 o'clock, please raise your hand if that day works better of the two.
You're talking about the 13th, right?
Yes, yes. Next week. Wednesday is the other option. Yeah, we're otherwise booked. So really quick, keep them up for Tuesday at 6 o'clock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then Wednesday, if that would also work for you. I think that, so it looks like Wednesday is going to work the best. So I will get that out to everybody and we'll start that at about 6 o'clock, and we will try to determine if we can find a way to get some snacks there, either provided or volunteer. So look forward to spending some good social time with Senate. That is all that I have in the report section for myself. Are there any questions for me? Wonderful. Next, we will move on to old business. Is there any old business to bring in front of the Senate?
We had that anonymous email about the lower hub. I wasn't sure. We had someone concerned about the condition of the parking in the lower hub. Were you able to forward that to facilities or anything, or?
We'll take a look at that. But I think that I understand probably why that was, but I'll forward that one on. Yes.
Okay, yeah, I mean, they didn't ask for a response, but I just wanted to make sure that they take a look at it.
Yeah, that's a parking lot, I believe, that is also permitted to others, and there's some other student buildings around, and there also happens to unfortunately be a dumpster that sits right at that parking lot. So I think that they also battle the weather quite a bit, and so I think that that's part of the reasoning why. But we'll check with them and see if maybe facilities has the ability to check up on that. So, is there any other old business? Is there any new business? Yes.
Okay, so there is going to be a staff book club that is going to kick off spring 2023. We're hoping the group will meet in person and or via Zoom about 3 times during the semester. However, we're looking for people that might want to moderate or facilitate the book club. It's in collaboration with the DEI. Molly Kirby, Michael Crow, Allison Salmon, and I are heading that up. So if anybody is interested in that, the book that we're going to be reading is The Essential Diversity Mindset. It's on the WKU library catalog. It's also available on ebook and Hoopla via the Warren County Public Library. So if you're interested and you want to be a part of that, just reach out to us. We're definitely looking for people to join us.
One thing I did want to bring up in new business and take a vote on is I would like to add to our schedule. We don't have any new business yet, to my knowledge, for our January meeting. And so we will still hold that as normal, but I would expect that one to go fairly quickly since we're having this one now and not many work days between now and that January meeting. And so what I would like to do is in the time that's typically allotted, I would like to, at the conclusion of our staff Senate meeting, I would move that we host a workshop, a working session, so that we can discuss where we are at this point in the year, other priorities to help us kick off the spring semester in the right way as a staff Senate, and make sure that if there are things that are on our list that we would have liked to achieve from our earlier meeting this semester, that we had our working session and kind of kick this off, that we can discuss those things there and how we can kind of keep making progress on those goals. So I would move to,
Yeah, make your motion.
okay, I would move to add to our calendar a working session that will be immediately following our January staff senate meeting for 2023.
Second.
All right, I'd like to approve it by unanimous consent unless there are any objections. Wonderful. So we will put that out there. That should exist on your calendar already in that standard allotted amount of time. So we'd like to just go ahead and keep that in place. So actually don't need to put that out there. It should be there. And so I may just simply change the title to monthly staff senate meeting for those members and working session to follow. Just that, you know, that we will take up that time. Sometimes we don't take that full time, but we will likely take up that time there in January. So is there any other new business? Mhm.
I have a new business question.
Yes,
Technically,
you may.
I forgot to ask it. Will, if on the BEC proposal, will departments that have grant funded employees be given the option to also award that to people? Was that discussed at all?
Our discussion was focused only on those positions that were ESG safe funded, as the university has the potential with cash on hand to affect those. But I would certainly hope that if there are any individuals in grant funded positions where the grant allows something similar to occur when the university takes an action, we did not explicitly put that in the proposal that should also take place, but we would hope that
Yeah.
whatever possible, if a grant allows for such a payment or an increase to occur, that it takes place.
I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just prohibited.
Yeah, it was not prohibited.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
No, not by
Thanks, sorry for the.
no worries. No worries. Thank you for that clarification. Any other new business? All right, next we'll move to public comment. Is there any public comment for the good of staff, senate, or staff? All right, wonderful. So the only other announcements there that we have at the bottom of our agenda is just that our next staff senate executive committee meeting will be on Tuesday, December 13th at 10 a.m. We host that via Zoom. And then our next staff senate meeting will be January 4th, 2023 at 10 o'clock here in this same room in DSU 2081. So thank you all so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I hope everyone enjoys their winter break and holidays. And hope to see a lot of you next Wednesday, excuse me. And I will get that information out to you. But with that,